This weather is about to change a ton with a potent shot of cold air coming directly from northern Canada that will sink all the way down into the Ohio Valley, back into the southeast, and eventually end up in Florida. We're talking numerous record low temperatures on the table, especially for Tuesday morning. So we got a lot to talk about in this update. First, we'll start off with the hazard map because along this cold front, it's going to bring some very windy conditions, blustery winds as those temperatures will continue to fall all throughout the day today and heading into tomorrow and eventually down into the southeast and heading into areas of Florida by the time we head into Tuesday. But we've got wind advisories highlighted over Montana, a good part of South Dakota. They've got newly issued winter weather advisories that just checked. It's snowing pretty good in southeastern South Dakota, and that's going to swing through Iowa. We also have a newly issued winter storm watch for areas around Chicago. They could be getting some pretty good lake effect snows with this snow band that's going to be moving across into tonight through early tomorrow morning. And yes, those areas in blue already issued a freeze watch for a good part of Oklahoma. Does include Oklahoma City into the Tulsa region, all the way down into Dallas. Even the Waco region could see a first freeze, and that is only going to be extended all the way into the southeast. And these are going to be widespread. These will likely fill in as we get deeper into the day, especially tomorrow. And like I mentioned, that will shift all the way down into central and even northern Florida there. But here's your current wind chills. This is what kind of feels like. You can see where the cold blast is. It's up here in areas of the Dakotas, and those temperatures are going to continue to fall all throughout the day. We've got widespread teens and 20s wind chills, and that's only going to get colder as much of that colder air will sink further south as we get deeper into the day, and especially tonight. And it's going to be leaving some snow along with it as well. We've got an area of low pressure. That's what's bringing the snow this morning in southeastern South Dakota. That's going to be swinging through Iowa as we get deeper into the day today, and eventually end up in northern Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio with some pretty impressive snowfall totals. We can see the latest on the HRRR index, kind of that snow swath of where it's going to end up. So we could be looking at some dusting through Minot, back through Bismarck, and a little bit higher amounts as you swing through right now back into Sioux Falls areas. They are expecting about 1 to 3 inches. But once you get into areas of northern Illinois, especially the Chicago region and around some of these lakes, yeah, we could be looking at some pretty impressive snowfall totals in some isolated regions once some of these lake effect snow bands mix in. So the National Weather Service is calling up to 6 inches of snow in and around this region. But where the snow bands land up, they could be looking at even some higher totals. I mean, they're already hinting at a foot, even possibly even higher than that if this lake effect snow really kicks in. So we could be looking at some impressive totals up here across northern Illinois, northern Indiana, back through the Detroit region, getting into Cleveland. And the latest NAM 3K is even a little bit more bullish than that. So you get the idea. It brings a swath of snow through southeastern South Dakota, through Iowa, back through northern Illinois, getting into Ohio, essentially in western Pennsylvania. And then, of course, as it winds up and as it swings out on the backside, it'll be leaving some snow even further south into Louisville, Cincinnati, back through Charleston, and yes, down even further south to places like into Kentucky, portions of Tennessee, through the Smoky Mountains region, through the Appalachians. Yes, you could be looking up to 4 inches of snow with this system. So it's going to be leaving us some, some some first snow for some of you guys, and definitely some lake effect snows as well, which is usually pretty common as we get into that second week of November. But man, look at that, folks. It is going to be windy. So you're going to be, that's why, combined with the temperature drop and including the wind, that's why these wind chills are going to be feels to the body. 5, 10, 15 degrees even colder than what the actual temperature is. Because, yes, there's going to be widespread winds of 25, 30, 35, even 40 mile per hour gust. Not out of the question for much of the central parts of the U.S., as this low pressure will be swinging across over the next 24-hour time span and dropping those temperatures big time. So what we're looking at as we wake up to tomorrow morning, yeah, we could be looking at below zero wind chills in the Dakotas, folks. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Pretty impressive cold shot for this time of year. Single digits, shifting all the way down into Iowa, feels like into the 20s, back into Kansas and Missouri, much of northern Illinois. So you can get the idea. It's a chilly, raw day with waking up in the 20-degree wind chills, snowing in Chicago. It's going to feel every bit of winter. Freezing already by the time we wake up into Oklahoma City, and that's only going to fall throughout the day. And much of Dallas and getting into the southeast will start feeling the effects of that cold blast. It's all compliments of this pretty significant shot of colder air coming directly from northern Canada. And this is what often is referred to as the polar vortex. It's a piece of it actually breaks off and dives it down into the lower 48. And yes, Oklahoma and Texas, it gets more of a glancing shot of it. But the main bullseye is really highlighted northern Illinois, and its spokes of energy will keep pummeling further south through Kentucky, through Tennessee, and this eventually ends up into the southeast, into the Carolinas, and even into Florida, where they could be looking at their first freeze of the season. So let's look at some of these low temperatures as we head into Monday morning. That's why we're talking about widespread freezes for many across the central part of the U.S. Hard freeze coming up for Oklahoma and Arkansas, Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. And be looking at a light freeze there in the Dallas-Fort Worth region, shifting in portions of central Texas, looking at, almost near freezing through East Texas. But yes, this is a pretty impressive shot of colder air, and it only gets colder as we head into Tuesday. I mean, right now, the National Weather Service is forecasting 34 record low temperatures coming up for Tuesday morning. All those areas highlighted and circled, we're talking a new potential record low. That's 23, folks, in Kentucky. Yeah, all the way down into Birmingham. I mean, we're talking a hard freeze. Yes, this is a killing frost, a freeze coming up for much of the southeast. And yeah, look at that, 32 for the Florida Panhandle, 29. Look at all those circles. There's too many the map can hold, right? Yes, this is an impressive shot of colder air for November the 11th, right? So this is a pretty good shot of colder air, but as fast as it comes in, it goes out just as fast. So it kind of bottoms out Monday and Tuesday, and then slingshots back northbound as we head into Wednesday. And that warmer anomalies that's been kind of out west now will be shifting back into the central U.S., and those temperatures are going to rapidly rebound the other way. So we got a lot of changes on the way with warmer temperatures now. We take the plunge and then we go right back up. And this is all within the next 5 to 6 days. That's what we're on the table here. But as we head into Thursday, as we head into next week, we're going to be watching all eyes out west. We got a pretty potent system coming into the western U.S., but this one is going to take a turn much further south than what you've seen as of late. This will bring some much needed rains for those areas across California into the desert Southwest as this low pressure really starts to get its act together and sends these pulses of energy, like kind of a pineapple express coming your way for Thursday, Friday, heading into next weekend. So this could be a pretty good shot of rain and some higher winds for the western U.S. while the colder air retreats back up into the northeast and back up into Canada. Much of the country returns on the well above average side, and then wet out west as we start today on Thursday, heading into Friday. We've got a pretty significant trough digging in out west. This is what it looks like on Friday, November the 14th. that continues to dig, and as it digs, it's going to pull in more Pacific moisture and dump it inland. So this is definitely what's on the table as we head into late week next week into next weekend. And you can see where the jet stream is, where much of the country remains on the high and dry side. So, and then, what it looks like as we head into that Friday afternoon, yes, we'll have another wave of energy hitting the West Coast with another storm complex as well. So we could be looking at some hefty totals, especially if you add it all up. So let's look at some of these temperature anomalies as we head into Friday. This is the rapid rebound, what we're talking about. So obviously we're warm right now. We're starting to get cold. We'll take the deep plunge as we head into Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Start to retreat on Wednesday. Thursday is very warm, and by Friday, we're cooking. All right, it's 15, 20, 25 degrees above normal in some of these spots. Yeah, that colder air is going to be a distant memory as you rapidly return in a big way. In some ways, you even get warmer than what you are now. So it's definitely a shock to the system nonetheless. So on the blend of guidances, this is what it looks like. So I showed you the NAM and some of the shorter range guidances, and here's the blend as it kind of paints a picture of those foot totals potentially, especially when you add in some of those lake effect snows. Most of this won't fall until some of that cooler air kind of mixes in and some mountain snows return back on the table Thursday and Friday of next week. But here's your precipitation for the next 7 days. So we've got those systems coming through right now. That's why we're leaving some of this in the form of snow for the next couple of days. But then it's dry everywhere else. It's the dry front that comes through. And then any precipitation will likely start forming back again out west, especially as we get into late next week. This is mainly Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday. But we could be picking up some 1-inch totals. You see a good part of California takes a good dosing of rain, and some of these could be some multi-inch totals as well by the time all this is said and done. So guys, I appreciate you watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update. Why protect you before and after the storm.